Adam Part 11. Yeah, my mom adopted him last year from an orphanage. Mr. Black. Biting a steak. This is real good. Mrs. Wright smiles at the compliment. Mrs. Wright looks at John. Adam told me what happened at your wedding. John glances at Adam. Adam nods. It's so terrible. I hope you are coping well with everything. Pick yourself together, and with the help of God you are gonna meet a nice lady. Mrs. Black. Interrupting, to John. What happened at your wedding, son? John. My fiance, he got scared at the altar and walked out. Mr. Black. You mean she walked out on you? John nods. Are you serious? Adam. Yeah, I was there, as his best man. Mr. Black. I heard the similar incident happened at Mr. Jonathan's son's wedding. To his wife, Mrs. Black. You remember Michael, Mr. Jonathan's son. During his wedding, his fiance, he got scared and ran out like she smoked some weed before her wedding. Mrs. Black. But how will a woman allow a man to spend so much on their wedding, and still adjourn the wedding when it matters most? Adam. Women fake a lot these days. They don't fake only orgasms, but now they fake relationships too. Mrs. Wright. What did you say? Adam. I said time is changing compared to before. Sees Mrs. Wright scowling. Sorry, Mom. Mrs. Black. To John. I know she ain't black, is she? John nods, his gesturing, yes. Oh, what was her reason? Are you broke? John. No, ma'am. Mrs. Black. How was she like, her behavior, especially towards you? Adam. Answering for John. She spent a lot time in front of the mirror, and she also dislikes babies. Mrs. Black. To John. Then she did you a great favor, before you married her. Jesus is gonna judge a lot of things. Mrs. Wright. Where is she from? John. Virginia. Mrs. Black. Virginia? Bob lived in Virginia some years ago. He did his high school there, am I right, Bob? Mr. Black. Busied himself biting steak again. What? Mrs. Black. You told me you stayed at Virginia and schooled in a public school there? How long were you there, before you left there to Brooklyn? Mr. Black. 5'6" tall, haven't added an inch since I left there. Mrs. Black. Disgruntled. I mean, how many years were you there? Mr. Black. 15 long years. To John. Are you from Virginia? John. Yeah, I and my parents lived there, and my girlfriend is from here, too. Mr. Black. Your parents lived in Virginia? John. Yeah. Mr. and Mrs. Collins. They are both dead. Mrs. Wright. Oh, sorry, son, you have been through a lot. But everything has a way of making you a better man and person. Mr. Black. I know one Mr. Collins at Virginia. He was my high school English teacher and a good poet, whom no student ever read his books. Mrs. Wright. So he wasn't that good, Mr. Black. Don't get me wrong, Matt. He was. But his book titles were perfect cure for insomnia. You glance at the book covers, and you fall asleep like someone knocked you into a coma. Mrs. Black. And what were they, the book titles? Mr. Black. They were Sleeping Across the Nile, A Coma Leap. Everybody laughs. Mr. Black continued. Mr. Black. To John. Was your dad, the Collins, who wrote those books? John. No, my parents were businessmen. Mr. Black. Okay. After an awkward pause. Mrs. Black. To Mrs. Wright. Have you noticed that Adam has never brought a girl to any dinner or Thanksgiving we hosted here or at my place?